Hello, I'm ready to welcome to episode 6 of Election Countdown. Today I'm joined by Geoffrey Turner from the People's March Against Austerity and Colin Hutchings from Socialist Students, who are both going to tell me about their organisations within Sheffield. Geoffrey.
Yes.
I'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about the People's March Against Austerity.
It's People's Assembly.
People's
against
Assembly.
Austerity. It's not officially, there's no march.
Okay, sorry.
Just as my recollection. Yeah, it started probably about 3 or 4 years ago, trying to follow an idea that's often happened on the left. So this is another similar organisation in some ways, trying to bring left-wing socialist people together who might not all have exactly the same view. Because as you're probably aware, one of the problems on the left is it's endlessly tends to be dividing, splitting, having internal arguments, which is the best way forward. There are a number of parties on the left, from Labour and then left of Labour, a number of groups. And it was not an attempt to replace those, it was an attempt to say, right, at least on some things we agree and let's work together. And one of the key things the agreement was on, when it was formed, was to be anti-austerity. We don't accept the conservative or Lib Dem policies of saying you've got to cut everything, because of the deficit it's necessary to cut all the time. And this is how it formed.
So Colin, similar ideological premise to People's Assembly, but tell us a bit more about Socialist Students and their activities.
Okay, well, Socialist Students is a organisation which has societies across over 40 campuses on university campuses across the UK. Again, similar to People's Assembly, there's no actual affiliation to any political party. However, it is sort of a coalition of people from various left-wing organisations, from Labour to Tusk to the SWP and so on, working sort of as in left-wing unity and trying to spread left-wing socialism and socialist ideas among students, trying to build a new generation.
But there is a bit more of a history to Socialist Students, because much like the Socialist Party splitting away from the Labour Party, formerly militant, Socialist Students also came from Socialist Labour Students, which, when they replaced Socialist Labour Students, became just Labour Students. So there is a bit of a history there of once being connected to the Labour Party and now perhaps being affiliated a bit more with the Socialist Party.
Yes, there is a history with socialists of obviously coming from the militant tendency within Labour, and like you said, the same follows with students. And so for a while it was say they were less affiliated with Labour, moved away, became Socialist Students. But now I think we see more, there is sort of some cross-party support in some areas. I know many people who would help and campaign on behalf of Socialist Students are now actively trying to help Labour during this general election cycle, and hopefully that continues.
Geoffrey, I want to bring you in a bit more. Building a left-wing kind of party, is a vanguard party essential in order to then go on and build socialism?
Well, that's a good question. I've thought about that all my life, I guess, because one thing, there's been a theme always in my life. I've always been a socialist and trade unionist. I'm retired now, but when I worked, I was active in trade union in the UCU here in Sheffield University. One of the problems with Labour always was that it tended to shift to the right further and further. I guess from Thatcher's time onwards, it gradually moved to the right, and of course through Neil Kinnock and then later Tony Blair, moved further and further, and each time he gets elected, he seemed to be that much further to the right, moving the whole people talk about the centre of politics, but there isn't a fixed centre. It will tend to move against how things are in the country and just generally move further and further to the right, such that in 2015, Ed Balls could promise that he would continue with the Tory budget, which meant further cuts and austerity, once they were elected. So, for many people, I just thought, well, what's the point of voting for you then if you're offered the same?
But with the People's Assembly against austerity, are protests enough? Is there still that need for a party?
Yes, I think so. It's never meant to be. It's never meant to be a political party. It's meant to be a coalition, as with Socialist Students. It's meant to be a coalition of people with similar views, broadly to the left of Labour, or the left of where most of Labour is.
Yeah.
Because many people in People's Assembly are Labour Party members, or they belong to other parties. So they can belong to different parties or organisations as long as they share the common values of this opposition to austerity.
I mean, Colin, with the advent of Jeremy Corbyn and him becoming leader, do you think there's a sense of infiltration from the left or organisations like yourselves and the People Austerity, or is it a case of left-wing people and socialists coming home to the Labour Party?
I think it's definitely more of a homecoming rather than an infiltration. You go back 20 years, 30 years or so, and you see a lot of these people and a lot of these organisations' origins are within the Labour Party. You know, now they may be rejoining. I think it's very popular, for some publications to sort of try and paint this as an infiltration. It's a good media narrative to maybe try discredit these things. But there's that's rather than say fighting these ideals. You look at say Jeremy Corbyn's policies. A lot of his policies are just incredibly popular with the public. Okay, maybe the party and the brand might need some work. That's up for debate. But just policy for policy, these are incredibly popular policies across the board, and these are policies shared by both the Labour Party, the majority of the public, and a lot of these, the People's Assembly. We're starting to challenge this idea of austerity, and so to say that these people almost having their homecoming to Labour, to call it an infiltration, I wouldn't say such. The policies have already been defined by the Labour Party. They said we're opposing austerity now. We're going to oppose the cuts. We're going to start investing into our economy again. And people are joining because of that. They're not joining and then changing the narrative. The narrative is set, and then people joined it. It's definitely not an infiltration.
I mean, Geoffrey, what's your opinion on the situation in Labour? Do you take the momentum side of it? We should all now join back in and try and cleanse the party of those who are more to the right?
Well, there's the issue of my personal opinion. What People's Assembly is.
Yeah.
People's Assembly being an amalgam of different parties and groups as well.
Labour could be part of that amalgamation.
Well, he could, but so could the Greens. Now, the Greens are still standing, you see. Okay, now, many people in the Greens support People's Assembly, and they would certainly not like People's Assembly to be saying, vote Labour, not for the Greens. So that's why it doesn't affiliate many people.
So it's non-partisan, just more of a pressure group, say.
Yeah, but being anti-austerity does rule out most political parties, okay? So it won't have many Tories amongst us, I can tell you that, okay? And probably not with Dems either, because of course we all remember very recently how Nick Clegg joined with the Tories. Without his support, they couldn't have pushed through all the anti-austerity measures they did do. So they're really not likely to be back. But there's the Greens there, and then there's Labour, and then there are the trade unions themselves and other parties.
I mean, I was quite surprised actually. I mean, there were quite a few. They identify as One Nation conservatives, and then they say, "Oh, that's not real conservatism because they're just cutting away at public services and privatising it because they're not conservatives and neoliberals." Then at the same time, still voting for the Conservative Party.
Yes, that's right.
But turning back to you, Colin, difficult question, this one. If the Labour Party is turning back leftwards, the affiliation, not official affiliation, but the intermingling between Tusk and Socialist Students, do you still see Tusk as relevant with Corbyn as Labour leader? Because, I mean, admittedly, a lot of Socialist Party members came from Labour, and if they had the option, would definitely go back.
Yes, so obviously I can't speak for the party Tusk personally. I'm personally not affiliated with them, so I can't speak for them personally. But I guess the way I see it is, if these people, if this party was formed out of sort of people feeling unwelcome within the Labour Party 30 years ago, and it formed because those ideas were no longer welcome, now we're welcoming them back, then maybe in days to come, Tusk might be sort of retired. If the Labour Party does include them and does support those policies, then there may not be any need to have two names on the ballot for the same ideas. But obviously that doesn't mean you want to close up shop just yet. We have a general election in a month.
Well, they've still got to be alive to the fact that all this in Labour very much depends on who their leader is.
Yeah, exactly. So I think parties like this, they will be fighting for a Jeremy Corbyn government on the 8th of June, and whatever comes on the 8th of June, we'll see what happens, and then parties like Tusk, organisations like People's Assembly and Socialist Students sort of go from there. I think it's it could be wholly possible in the future, but then again, it might not work out that way.
So coming on to the election, any predictions, Geoffrey?
Well, certainly the opinion polls don't look good for Labour at the moment. I have to admit that. People blame the media, and I think that's partly true. I think, well, clearly, as far as the press is concerned, that's absolutely true, because there's not been a single newspaper, perhaps, other than Morning Star, that's actually backed Jeremy Corbyn. From the supposedly liberal Guardian right through to the extreme right newspapers like the Sun and the Mail and so on. And obviously, control the whole press and been constantly anti-Corbyn. BBC has got to be more nuanced than that. But of course, they have been able to take advantage in BBC of the divisions within the Labour Party.
And individual reporters as well.
Yes. But clearly, quite a few of the PLP, as we know, over the last couple of years, have been extremely hostile to Jeremy Corbyn, despite him getting elected twice. Things have quieted down a little bit now, but it is close to the election, so it's been a problem, I think.
What about for you, Colin? Any hope for Labour?
There definitely is hope. The opinion polls definitely haven't been looking good, but they have been steadily improving since about 2 weeks ago. And I would hope there is more of that to come. I think Jeremy Corbyn is, maybe he hasn't been able to give off such a good public image over the past year and a half or so. Maybe he hasn't been able to negotiate with the media, and the media, haven't really been trying to play ball with him. But, I'd say he's, at least from what you can see, he's a very, very skilled campaigner. I think you can't dispute that. We've seen he's won 2 leadership elections, and in both of them, he's displayed charisma, being able to lead large assemblies, lead large protests. And I think that's sort of really, that's his element, that's what he's good at. He's good at getting out on the streets and talking to the people, because, he's probably the only person running in this general election with actual character.
Geoffrey, coming back to this whole unity problem, it's almost a question of what have the left been doing for 20, 30 years, because before this kind of spontaneous outbreak with Jeremy Corbyn, which was pretty unplanned if we're all honest, the left, as you say, was so divided. The number of left-wing organisations, the Socialist Workers' Party, who have their own internal troubles, but let's not get into that. The Socialist Party.
There's still something of the communist
the Communist Party. I'm struggling here. The Greens. Arguably.
After that, there are many very small parties.
Like Fabian Society, Left Unity, IMT.
Left Unity, actually, that was a response in a way to Labour having moved so far right, wasn't it? That many people who were fairly mainstream Labour people actually said, we've had enough of this, we're going to start another party and it's going to carry on like this. I think later on they probably moved back into
But your organisation, if anything, is proof that when you take all these small organisations, when you take all these groups of people, and when they all came together back into the Labour Party, hundreds of thousands of people were not only willing to join the Labour Party and vote for Corbyn, but then campaign, as we're saying now, for Labour.
I think people were always there. People are always there on the left, but not associated with one particular party, as say the Conservatives would be. Well, even the Conservatives had their problems because really UKIP was an escape of the far right Conservatives, and they moved back in.
They've completely collapsed, as we've seen.
But again, the people haven't gone away there, moved back into the Conservative Party, where a lot of them came from in the first place, I guess. But I think that one of the problems has been it's not just a party issue either. You see, you've got to think of what's happening at street level. There are campaigns against racism, like Stand Up to Racism, which involves large numbers of people, some of whom were in parties and others were not. You've got campaigns for the NHS. There's here in Sheffield, the Sheffield Save Our NHS campaign, many similar groups across the UK. So lots of different people, and there's climate change. There are many different groupings that are single issue campaigns that are broadly on the left. They are broadly socialist on the left. But obviously, within them, people belong to different political parties, or no party at all. And I think a large number of people on the left belong to no party at all because of this.
I mean, Colin, just because we've got a few minutes, there's a similar issue on university campuses right now in that we've got various left-wing organisations. We've got Socialist Students, Marxist Students, Free University of Sheffield. I'm sure there's a few others, but they're all divided as well, and they still have the same message, but they have different ways of going about it. Would it be better if some or a lot of these societies start to join together in a sense?
I guess that could be said. There are a lot of those societies. I don't quite know what it would take to unify all those things. I'm not going to claim to have the solutions, but I would say through proxy and through the current general election and the current Labour government, those sort of societies, okay, maybe they're not directly in contact with each other, but if they're all working towards the same goal, and if they're sort of their members are liaising with members of the Labour Party, then in that sense they are united through the Labour Party.
Because again, as it has been with the general public and within Labour students on campus, a lot of more left-wing students that wouldn't have touched Labour students with a 10-foot barge pole are suddenly very interested in Labour students, and whenever there's anything to do with Labour constitution, they always want to get involved and put their own ratifications and things through.
Yeah, that is the case, and maybe some people see that as a problem, some people see that as a good thing. But more people are getting involved with the party. I don't think anybody could really suggest is a bad thing. More people getting involved in politics isn't a bad thing. Unity on campus maybe falls behind a bit to say unity out in the general public, as we've got the People's Assembly working towards. So I'd suggest maybe we are a bit behind there in unity on campus, but I think we're taking the first steps. I think this general election is going to be the path.
Do you think there's ever a problem where someone comes head of a society and they don't want to amalgamate because they think, well, I'm head of my own society now. I don't want to take a more junior position somewhere else.
I think you do get personality clashes.
Yeah.
Certainly amongst many of these groups. Yes. You know, it's fairly easy for fights to break out amongst the groups without a doubt. But I mean, I think very large numbers of people in the country who are worried about the direction the country is going do join different things, but they see a particular focus, as I've said. Like many people say, right, I'm worried about the NHS. It's in a terrible state. It's facing more privatisation, longer queues, A&Es, and now these STPs, which are a Tory plan actually to shut down a lot of hospitals and have care in the community, which means nowhere, just push that. Basically, because there's no more money coming into this. It's just, Huddersfield has huge campaigns there. Huddersfield has had demonstrations in the last year. It's what's relatively small town of 10,000 or more just in Huddersfield over the plans to close Huddersfield or down. So certain things really galvanise people. If you talk of, well, it's all austerity, it's all cuts, they say, yeah, but they want to focus on something particular. And when it's a hospital being closed, that really does get people out together and focused on. And that, in many ways, that's easier than around the political party programme, that they see one issue, one important issue.
So, before we close up, because I think that's pretty good, just a quick prediction on how many seats you think each party is going to get, maybe? Rough ballpark?
I don't want to make predictions. There's 4 weeks more of campaigning to go, and a lot of people in People's Assembly will now be out campaigning. People's Assembly itself has postponed its annual conference in London.
Well, again, it's more and more different groups coming together, isn't it?
Yeah, they're coming together, but also some are now going to work with their own parties. So I would probably the bulk of people who are politically active will be going towards Labour, but the ones, the Green members in there will be going to support their candidates.
Because you could argue there's at least 1 million people on the streets campaigning for Labour, because there's at least double the amount that aren't members, but still wanting.
Non-members go out to support as well.
And for you, rough ballpark?
Again, I really wouldn't like to speculate. The Conservatives haven't even released their manifesto yet. They've been incredibly light on policy, and I think it's really everything to play for. I wouldn't like to make a prediction.
Well, I'm going for a hung parliament with a Tory majority. So you've got that on tape now. Okay, so I'd like to thank Colin. I'd like to thank Geoffrey. This was Election Countdown. Tomorrow we have Tim Norton, I think is his second name, from a small theatre company who's going to talk about his performance on tonight. And then after that, we've got the big interview with Dom Trendle, current president of the SU. But that's it for today, so thanks very much. I'm just going to turn you off. Nope.